On this episode of CyberWatch, we find the routes available to hackers when they want to take your car for a ride, look at some trends in cybercrime, and we have a personal cybersecurity safety tip for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. All this today in CyberWatch. Hello, and welcome to the CyberWatch podcast for the week of October 13, 2024. This is your weekly roundup of the news and analysis published on CyberWatch and brought to you by Access Point Consulting. I'm your host, Curtis Franklin. Let's get to the news. For most people, the increasing technology in automobiles is a good thing, giving us cars that are easier, safer, and more pleasant to drive. In a CyberWatch article, Matt Burns points out that there are costs that come with all that convenience, though, costs that can allow a criminal to control many functions of a car using information that is as public as it gets. A recently discovered critical vulnerability in Kia vehicles allowed hackers to remotely control various vehicle functionings using nothing more than the car's license plate number as a starting point. Security researchers Nico Rivera, Sam Curry, Justin Reinhart, and Ian Carroll found a way to exploit the Kia dealership infrastructure, allowing hackers to remotely gain control over Kia vehicles. Using just 4 HTTP requests, hackers could access the vehicle systems after registering a fake Kia owner's account and generating access tokens. With those tokens, they could add themselves as an invisible secondary user, giving them unauthorized access to the vehicle without the owner's knowledge. So, what could they do with this new access? Criminals could remotely lock and unlock the vehicle, start and stop the vehicle's motor from afar, track the vehicle's location in real time, access all of the cameras on the vehicle, and even flash the lights and sound the horn. And which vehicles were subject to this vulnerability? Most every Kia built after 2013. That's all. Now, Kia responded quickly, issuing a software patch roughly a month after the vulnerability was first discovered. But this does raise questions about the vulnerability of our increasingly interconnected critical infrastructure and the nature of vendors' responses to that vulnerability. With a handful of steps, criminals can gain access to sensitive user information and have an impact on the integrity of the data and experience involved in the infrastructure. More broadly, the Kia vulnerability points to the increasing role of a supply chain in cybercrime. Looking at the vulnerabilities, incidents, and trends covered in CyberWatch in the last few months, it's easy to see that criminals are looking for ways to maximize the fruits of their labors. In many cases, this means finding attacks that allow a single exploited vulnerability to have an impact on dozens or thousands of different individuals. This impact maximization can take a host of forms. We've seen ransomware and data theft attacks on healthcare organizations, attacks on cloud services, and exploited vulnerabilities in core cybersecurity and system control software. The ubiquity of networked connections means that criminals no longer have to attack hundreds of potential victims individually. They can attack one link in the supply chain and let the service's links do the hard work for them. This doesn't mean that we should all become technological cave dwellers, passing up on the benefits of cloud and service-based solutions. It does mean that every IT professional and cybersecurity specialist owes it to their organization to ask hard questions of those cloud and service providers, to make sure that the services are configured securely, and to require that all credentials are generated, stored, and used according to best practices. When the world is highly connected, it's impossible to be 100% secure, but you don't have to make the criminals' jobs any easier than absolutely necessary. And that brings us to our next section. Because October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we've been presenting some simple to implement tips to improve your cybersecurity. Today's tip is to think like a zebra. Now, out on the African plains, herds of zebras live, eat, frolic, reproduce, and migrate on a regular daily basis, living what we assume are happy zebra lives all the time, surrounded by lions. They know the lions are there. They know that someone's going to be eaten, but they go on with their lives nonetheless. They can do this because each zebra knows that they don't have to be the fastest zebra to survive. They just can't be the slowest zebra. So in thinking about how you're going to attack your cybersecurity problems, it's easy to fall into the perfect or nothing trap. But remember, most cyber criminals are trying to get the most for the least effort. Your job is to make sure that your data, infrastructure, and finances don't offer themselves as the reward for least effort attacks. Make the criminals work hard, and they'll likely go look for a slower zebra. Well, that's it for this week. Please join us again next week for the CyberWatch podcast, brought to you by Access Point Consulting. And be sure to visit CyberWatch on LinkedIn and at www.accesspointconsulting.com/CyberWatch. I'm Curtis Franklin. We'll see you next week.